Yeah, this thing is shaking very badly.
Misfire.
So let's look at our misfire data. Do we have specific cylinders that are misfiring? Hello viewers, welcome to Keith's Auto and Truck Repair. Today we have a Cadillac SRX4. The customer complaint on this vehicle is the check engine light is remaining on the dash and the vehicle is losing power tremendously. Now I have to mention that this vehicle came from another shop. The owner of that shop, he's a good friend of mine. They were working on this vehicle. They replaced a couple components. I believe O2 sensors were changed and a couple more components, but the vehicle is still not fixed. So my friend George, I'm gonna give you a shout out, but I won't talk about I won't say the name of your shop, okay? So my friend George brought this vehicle to me. He said, Dio, this caddy is giving me a hard time. Please go ahead and diagnose it for me. Help me figure out what's wrong. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go in the vehicle and start the engine. Let's see if the check engine light is gonna remain on the dash. And then we're gonna get the scan tool connected to the vehicle to see what codes we have in the engine computer. And then we'll go from there. Now, before we go in the vehicle, let's give a shout out to our famous cameraman, Matt. Matt, thanks for being here. So now let's go in the vehicle so we can confirm the customer's complaint. You better not smoke in your life, Matt. It's not good for you. Smoking is not good. Look at this. Guys, we are in the vehicle. Look at, I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of people that smoke. I mean, if you want to smoke, it's up to you, but you know, it's not good for you. It kills you. I don't smoke, I don't drink. I'm not trying to like shame those who smoke or drink, but I just don't do that. Anyways, yeah, this is not good. This car doesn't smell good. You know, we should charge them more for having this smelly car. I mean, the guy who brought this vehicle to us is a friend of mine, so I should not do that to him. All right, so let's scan. No, before we scan the engine computer, let's start the engine first. All right. Oh, look at this, Matt. Fancy. This piece goes up. Oh, hold on. Let me turn it off. Check that out. Ooh, fancy. Let me start the engine. The little screen goes out. Oh, caddy. Fancy caddy. All right. So as you can hear, the engine is running. Yeah, the engine doesn't sound good. So when I rev it up, it sounds like it has clogged catalytic converters. There's that little drew when you first step on the accelerator pedal. It's like the engine is not breathing correctly. All right, so check engine light is on. I'm gonna show you the dash so you can see the check engine light. So right there, as you can see, the check engine light is remaining on the dash. So there. Customer's complaint confirmed. Jeez. Oh my goodness. Oh no. I'm gonna turn off the engine. I'm gonna turn the key on. I believe to turn the key on this one, you have to press and hold the start button. Oh, right there. So you have to press and hold the start button. That's what I thought. I think it has 120 some thousand miles. All right, so the key is on, the scan tool is connected to the vehicle. Why the dinging noise is there? Okay, so I'm going to scan the engine computer. Let's see what codes we have. Now, while the scan tool is scanning the computers on the vehicle, I'm gonna call my friend George. Let's see if he's gonna pick up, and then I'm gonna ask him a couple questions. I believe he told me what they did, but I just want to ask him again because I don't remember exactly what components were replaced. I think he said O2 sensors and some other components. Now, the scan tool tells me the mileage on the vehicle. This vehicle has 129,000 miles, 261, so not a lot of miles. We got O2 sensor here, the codes. Dang.
Hello.
Hey George, how are you?
All right.
Hey, I'm diagnosing the caddy that you dropped at my shop.
Yeah. What's
Yeah,
up?
I'm just getting to it now. I know you told
Yeah.
me the stuff that you replaced. Can you? I don't
Oh no,
remember.
I didn't replace anything.
Oh, you didn't replace anything.
No, I didn't replace anything. So
Okay.
when the gentleman bought it to me, that's exactly how it was. I didn't erase anything. I didn't do anything.
Okay.
Someone had replaced all those O2 sensors. That's what it looks like to me.
Okay. Yeah,
But
cause
I didn't replace anything. No.
okay, good. That's good to know. Cause I'm starting to read the codes right now. It looks
Yeah.
like it has misfire codes, fuel trim codes, and O2 sensor codes. So I wanted to see what components were replaced, but I guess I
Yeah.
guess
No, I
you
didn't do
didn't do
anything,
anything.
and it's weird because it seemed like, I only drove it just like around town a couple of times. It seems like the more you drive it, the worse it's getting.
You're really okay. I haven't test driven it yet. I'm
Yeah.
just scanning it right now, and I'm getting ready to do
Okay.
some tests. But
All right.
yeah, it
Sounds good,
it
brother.
looks like a bunch of O2 sensor codes. All right, let me do the diagnosis, and then I'll get back to you.
Perfect. Thank you, man.
You're welcome. Bye.
Appreciate it.
All right. So my friend George actually didn't work on it. There was someone else that worked on it when he saw this. When he got this vehicle, then he sent it to our shop. So, all right. Now, we have 15 trouble codes in the engine computer. That's a lot of codes. The first one is P0050, O2 sensor heater control circuit, bank 1, sensor 1. Okay? And then the second one, it looks like second one is the same as the first one. P0059, O2 sensor heater resistance, bank 2, sensor 1. Okay. And then the third code is P0132, oxygen sensor circuit, high voltage, bank 1, sensor 1. So we have a O2 sensor code for bank 2, sensor 1 and bank 1, sensor 1. So both first sensors on bank 1. And then we have O2 sensor circuit voltage. O2 sensor. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So P01, so this is the fifth code, P0151, O2 sensor circuit voltage. I'm sorry, P0161, O2 sensor circuit low voltage, bank 2, sensor 1. So I'm starting to see a pattern here. We have codes for the first O2 sensors on both banks. Okay, so bank 2, sensor 1, and then bank 1, sensor 1. Interesting. Oh, actually, further down, we also have a code for bank 2, sensor 2. So P0157, O2 sensor circuit low voltage, bank 2, sensor 2. Interesting. And then we have P0174, fuel trim system lean, bank 2. Okay, so it's also running lean. Now, the engine running lean could be caused by defective O2 sensors, because if you had bad O2 sensors that are sending a skewed signal to the engine computer, that can cause the engine to run lean. Okay. All right, same thing down here, same codes. So bank 1, sensor 1 trouble code, and bank 2, sensor 1. All right. And then we have 3 codes in the transmission control unit. We have 2 codes in the ABS control unit, 2 codes in the airbag control unit. Now, my friend wants me to figure out why the check engine light is on and why the vehicle is losing power. So we're gonna focus on the engine computer. I'm gonna save all these codes. I will let him know so he can let his customer know, but I'm going to focus on what we have in the engine computer. So let's go down to the generic side of the scan tool. On the generic side, we have 11 codes, a lot of codes. Now, I wonder if these codes were set after the O2 sensors were replaced or before the O2 sensors were replaced. So there's no way of knowing because I don't have the contact of the person who worked on this vehicle before. So the first code we have on the generic side is P0050, O2 sensor heater control circuit, bank 1, sensor 1. Same thing over here. Okay, so we basically have So the first 4 codes on the generic side of the tool are basically the same one, but listed a couple times. And then we have O2 sensor circuit voltage low bank 2 sensor 2, and then system 2 lean bank 2. So we have P0174. You guys will see this when Matt puts this up. And then we have a misfire, P0300, random multiple cylinder misfire detected. And we also have a P21 9B bank 2 air fuel ratio imbalance. Interesting. Now the question is it the sensor that's causing the engine to misfire, or do we have a lean that's too severe that's causing the O2 sensor signals to be very low? I don't know. Since we have a lot of codes, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in the engine computer, and then I'm going to erase all these codes, and then we're going to scan the engine computer again to see what codes come back first. Whatever codes that come back will be the codes that we're going to go after, okay? Or we can go under the hood and do a quick visual inspection to see if there's anything obvious that we can see under the hood. So let's go in the engine computer. I'm going to clear all these codes. Let's see if we can clear them, since we have a lot of codes. I think I might have to go after the O2 sensor codes first, but let's see. I'm going to clear all these codes. Let's read the codes again. So we cleared them. Let's read the codes. Let's see if there's anything here. No codes present. Okay. So now I'm going to go to data. Okay. Let's look at our O2 sensor data PIDs. So let's go to sensor data. Now, when I first started the engine, it didn't feel like it was misfiring. So let's customize this list. I'm going to focus on my O2 sensor data PIDs first. So I'm going to graph all our O2 sensors. So this engine should have 4 O2 sensors, 2 on each bank. I believe this is a V6 engine. So we're going to have one O2 sensor in front of the catalytic converter and another one after the catalytic converter. So we will have the same setup on both banks. So right now, key on, engine off, all our sensors are showing us a reading of 1107 millivolts. Okay, this might be a bias voltage that the computer sends to the sensors. So now let's start the engine and see what happens. Okay, so the engine is running. So bank 2 sensor 2 is moving. We have activity on bank 2 sensor 2. That's the only sensor that's working so far. That's odd. So bank 1 sensor 2 is stuck at 1107. So now bank 2 sensor 1 is now working. Interesting. So bank 2 sensor 1 is working and bank 2 sensor 2 is also working. But the sensors on bank, oh, okay. I guess they had to get hot a little bit. Now they're starting to work. I didn't like that the sensors took a little while to start working. I mean, we have heater codes, so maybe the heater of the sensors are not working. Now, I know that on some of these sensors, there is a fuse that supplies power to the sensor heater, and then the engine computer controls the ground of the heating element of the sensor. So, and remember we had sensor heater codes for both sensors, the one on bank 1 and the one on bank 2, the sensors before the CAT. So maybe the fuse that supplies power to those sensors is blown. Okay, so bank 1, sensor 1 is good. And then bank 2, sensor 1. Bank 1, sensor 1 and bank 2, sensor 1 should pretty much mirror each other. But right now, they don't look identical. That's odd. and bank 2 sensor 2 and bank 1 sensor 2 also, look, they're oscillating up and down like this, just like you would see on the first O2 sensor signal. So this thing's got bad catalytic converters. So let me rev up the engine. Okay, let's see how quickly these O2 sensors will respond. You guys have seen me do this test. We're gonna drive these O2 sensors lean. So I'm gonna pump the brakes. I believe the brake pedal is vacuum operated. I mean, the brake booster is vacuum operated. So I'm gonna pump the brakes. As I pump the brakes, all these O2 sensors should go lean. Okay, so the one after the cat on bank 2 is still up. So I'm gonna let off. Interesting. Something is weird. These sensors are like, they're not responding the way I would like them to. Maybe someone put bad sensors or bad quality sensors on this. Okay, now let's scroll down. Let's look at our fuel trim numbers. We are in closed loop right now. Okay, if we look at our heater percentage, okay, so the heater command is on all of them, okay? So bank 1 sensor 2 is drawing, the heater on bank 1 sensor 2 is drawing about 0.54 amps. Same thing for bank 2 sensor 2. And then look at bank 1 sensor 1, same thing. But bank 2 sensor 1 is 0. So this one is not drawing any amperage. Oh, the engine is surging right now. It's about to die. Jeez. Where are our fuel trim numbers? Oh, okay, so we went in open loop. The engine was surging very badly. So our evap purge percentage is at 0%. Interesting. So let's have it go back in closed loop so we can look at our fuel trim numbers, because our fuel trim numbers can give us an indication of what's happening with this. Yeah, so this over here is a problem. Okay, I'm gonna graph it. Look at this. Yeah, so this heater over here, so bank 2 sensor 1 heater is drawing too much current. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. We are stuck in open loop right now. I believe that's because we have a fault. Let's back out. Let's read the codes. Let's see if there's a code that came back. Which code came back? Oh yeah, so our O2 sensor codes came back. Okay, P0050, P0132, and P0152. So O2 sensor control circuit bank 2 sensor 1. O2 sensor heater control circuit bank 2 sensor 1. All right, so let's go under the hood. Let's go check out those O2 sensors. I'm gonna make sure the O2 sensor heater is getting power. We might have to scope the wires at the O2 sensor to see if we have our control coming from the engine going to the sensor heater, and then we'll go from there. So I'm gonna, actually, let's turn off the engine for now. Let's go under the hood and do a quick visual inspection before we check the wiring of the O2 sensors. All right, so we are here under the hood. I'm gonna remove the engine cover. Okay, so Matt, if you can come over here and show everyone what I'm doing. So one thing I found is this bolt over here was loose. Okay. So we're gonna pull the engine cover up like that. I'm gonna get the engine cover out of the way. I'm just gonna put it down here. So This is a classic 3.6 liter engine. Now, that's loud. Now I see a couple of, I see a red flag. So this over here is a aftermarket catalytic converter. And this is also an aftermarket O2 sensor. Now, if we look at this connector, we will notice that the O2 sensor has 4 wires. So one wire is going to be the sensor ground, the other wire is going to be sensor signal, and then the other 2 wires will be for the sensor heater. One will be ground, and then the other one will be heater power. Okay, and then we have the same ones back here. I don't know if you can see, but I don't know, Matt, can you see this connector here? See this? Yeah. This is the wire for the first O2 sensor on the bank. I don't know which bank is this. I think this is bank 1. So we have the same connector on this side. Okay, so now let's check the easiest side to check, which is gonna be this one. Okay, so I'm gonna back probe all these wires off camera. I'm gonna use a lab scope. We're gonna back probe all these 4 wires to see what kind of voltages we have at the O2 sensor with the key on, and then we're gonna start the engine to see what's gonna happen. As you can see, these O2 sensors were replaced not too long ago because they don't look old. And these O2 sensors, the O2 sensors were replaced and the catalytic converters were replaced too. So I'm gonna get all these wires back probed and then I'll bring you guys back up. All right, guys, I have all these wires back probed. So Matt, let's show everyone the wires that are back probed here. So we have all the 4 wires at the O2 sensor connector, at the O2 sensor connector back probed. So now I am going to go to our lab scope. You guys will see this on the screen. We're gonna turn on all our channels. Okay, we're gonna be on the voltage scale. We are on the 20 volt scale on all these channels, so that's good. Let's see. So right now the key is off. So Robin, can you turn on the key for us? So with the key on, one wire should have system voltage because there's supposed to be power going to the O2 sensor. Is the key on? You have to press and hold the start button. Yeah, it takes a couple seconds. Now, right now we have 2.74 volt on the red trace. So red trace is, let me pull this thing out. Key's not coming on? No, you should be able to just press and hold. I know it takes a little while, but you should be able to. Okay, so here is the connector of the O2 sensor. So this is the sensor side, this is the harness side. We might have to back probe this on the harness side. So the fact that we have right now, the key is off right now, right? Is it on? Okay, so the key is off right now. We have 1 volt on the yellow trace, 0.20 on the green trace, and then 0.16 on the blue trace, and 2.74 on the red trace. The fact that we have a little bit of voltage on the wires here at the sensor, this tells me that the wiring is most likely good. Okay, let me go figure out why Robin can't turn the key on. I know this thing takes a little while.
Take a little bit of while.
Yeah, you have to press and hold. So you press and hold like this.
I'm patient enough with them.
Let's see.
I'm there tapping, holding.
There you go. Yeah, you have to press and hold and then the key comes on. All right, so the key is on. Let's see. Okay, So with the key on, we have, so the wiring is fine. So with the key on, we have 11.84 volt on the green trace, and we also have 11.81 volt on the blue trace. So this is system voltage, that's battery voltage right there. And then we have 1.02 volts on the yellow trace, and then 2.75 volt on the red trace. So the fact that we have these voltages here, this tells me that the wiring is good. I don't think we have a wiring issue. So Robin, I would like to start this. If you can go in the vehicle and start the engine for us. Let me make sure my test leads are out of the way, because the catalytic converter is just right here, so I don't want my test leads to burn. Let me make sure we got this ground connected. Okay.
We all good?
Yeah, go ahead and start it. Thank you. So now I'm gonna see if we're gonna have a heater control. I did see a little bit of heater control. Oh, right there. Yeah, we have our heater control. So the engine computer is controlling the sensor heater. Yeah, that's good. The heater is being controlled. This kind of square wave looking signal or control that you're seeing on the lab scope, the green trace, you see this square wave here?
Right.
So that's the computer turning on the heater on the sensor.
Don't drop it.
Yeah, but you know, it's good, but the sensor is bad. Look, it's an aftermarket sensor, an aftermarket CAT. So now let's go to scanner. Let's go to the scan tool. Because if I wasn't gonna see system voltage on this connector, on the O2 sensor connector, I was gonna look for the fuse that supplies power to the heater, to the O2 sensor heater. Yeah, this thing is shaking very badly. So let's look at our misfire data. Do we have specific cylinders that are misfiring? Oh, look at that. Cylinder 2, cylinder 4, cylinder 6. Oh, so 2, 4, and 6 are misfiring. But these ones are not. Now I wonder if all these cylinders are on one specific bank. Because if they are on one specific bank, we could have a clogged catalytic converter.
There you go.
Because since these are aftermarket converters, look. So cylinder 2, 4, and 6. And then look at 3, 5, and 1. Oh, the engine RPM just changed all of a sudden. So 3, 5, and 1 are not misfiring, but 2, 4, and 6 are misfiring. So let's go to, let's look at our cylinder layout. Let's go to our guided component test. I believe it's this one, so 3.0. Let's go to engine. Let's see if we have a cylinder layout here. Okay, we do not. Let's go to our service. Actually, hold on. Okay, we know 2, 4, and 6 are misfiring, okay?
Yep.
Now I want to look at our fuel trim numbers. Let's see if we can quickly look at fuel trim numbers, because before it went into open loop when I was looking at the data really fast. So let's look at our fuel trim numbers, because our fuel trim numbers can give us an indication of what kind of misfire we have. So look at short-term bank. So short-term fuel trim bank 2, we have minus 29. So we have high negative numbers on bank 2. And I believe the cylinders that are misfiring will be on bank 2. Look at so bank 1 is fine.
Yeah, it's -2, negative.
Yeah, so bank 1 is actually within plus or minus 10%.
Yes.
But bank 2 had high negative numbers. You see how we went to 0?
Yep.
Because it went into open loop. If I grab my loop status right now, it's gonna be in open loop. Look, let's put a loop status here. See, open loop.
Yep.
So our fuel trim numbers are now showing 0, 0. So basically what's happening, bank 2, oh right there, we went back in open loop. So I mean closed loop. I'm sorry. We went in closed loop. So bank. No, it was bank 1 actually. So bank 1 had. Sorry, I'm talking too fast. Sorry. So bank 1 had high negative numbers.
Yes.
So it's the engine computer was pulling fuel away. It was taking fuel away. And then our numbers on bank 2 were pretty fine. Okay? So you see how it's good? Numbers are rocking back up right now. So high negative numbers could mean that we could have coils that are not working well. We could have injectors that are overspraying, causing it to run rich. We could have a bad mass airflow sensor. But a bad mass airflow sensor would affect both banks though. But even on bank 2 right now, the numbers are pretty high. Look, on the long term we have minus 10%, and then so fuel trim bank 1. So long term fuel trim bank 2 we have minus 10. Long term fuel trim bank 1 we have minus 15. So right now total trim on bank 1 is about minus. No, right now it's about 10%. It's kind of going up and down. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I would like to figure out where. Remember, it was cylinder 2, 4. I think it was 2, 4, and 6 that were misfiring. Let's see if those cylinders are on the same bank.
Right.
So I'm gonna keep the engine running. They have aftermarket catalytic converters anyways. I don't worry about them. If they're gonna go bad, they can go bad. I'm gonna recommend changing this actually.
Right.
I don't like aftermarket catalytic converters. I know the brand new ones are expensive, but
It is what it is.
sometimes you gotta spend a little bit more to get the right parts and do the job right.
And get good service.
And get good service. I agree. So let's go to our service info, and then let's see if this is gonna load up here. What do you think, Robin?
I think something is plugged up. It's doing the stuttering, then it's the
Yeah.
by itself.
Like right now, it seems to be running fine,
Yeah.
but before it was like,
Stuttering.
yeah. This is not loading the service info. I think it's because we're far away from the shop.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi signal is not strong enough here. All right, so let's do this. Can you increase the engine RPMs for me?
Sure.
Increase it to about 3,000 RPMs. Let's see if these numbers will get better. Okay, so let me grab our engine speed. Okay, let it idle. Let me look at our scope again. Okay, so our heater controls are still there. Yeah, so we have high negative numbers on the long term. Rev it again. Look at this. Look at this O2 sensor here. Oh wow, so right now short-term fuel trim bank 2 is 34%. Look at this number here, guys. our short-term fuel trim on bank 2 is going up. So we have high positive numbers on the short term. This could be a fuel delivery problem. Wow, we have high positive numbers on bank 2. All right, come back to idle. So Robin, when you increase the engine RPMs, we had high positive numbers on bank 2. So which means the engine computer was trying to open the injectors a lot longer. So the engine computer, same thing is happening right now. Look, we have high positive numbers on short-term fuel trim bank 2. And so short-term and long-term have high positive numbers. So right now total trim on bank 2 is what? 64%.
Wow.
This plus this. So we have about 36% on the long term and about 34% on the short term. So high positive numbers usually indicates a fuel delivery problem. Okay, we could have low fuel pressure, or we could have clogged fuel injectors that are not spraying enough fuel in the cylinders. But look at bank 1. The numbers on bank 1 are fine, but the numbers on bank 2 are way high. Or we could also have a clogged catalytic converter. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah, look, right now, the engine is idling. Long-term fuel trim bank 2, right now we have 40%.
Yep. It's going to be 49.
It's going really high right now. So we need to focus on bank 2. So I would check for a restriction, or for a restricted cat on bank 2, and then I'll also check fuel pressure. Yeah, we might have a restricted catalytic converter. So can you go ahead and turn it off? Let me figure out which side is bank 2. And then I believe I believe the cylinders that were misfiring are probably on bank 2. Cylinder 2 and 6 and 4. It was the even numbers.
Yes.
6, 4, and 2.
Yes.
I believe those will be on bank 2. Yeah. I mean, it says 6, 4, and 2, yet they're going to be on bank 2 because we have cylinder 2.
Yes.
Yeah, so turn it off. Guys, this is interesting. So, yeah, we turn the key on, because we're gonna lose the data. Just press and hold the start button. Yeah. Okay, perfect. You got it now. All right. So which side is bank 1? Let's see if we can bring out our service info here. Yeah. So guys, as you can see, we had high positive fuel trim numbers on bank 2. Only bank 2. Bank 1 is fine. So what is the one thing that would only affect one bank? Let me know in the comments as I'm figuring out which one is bank 1 or bank 2. It looks like I'm gonna have to go to the shop to look at service info.
Yeah, it's too far away.
Yeah.
You want to car a little bit?
Yeah, actually we can drive it in front of the shop. Okay, right. All right, guys. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna drive to the shop, to the front of the shop, so we can have a strong enough Wi-Fi signal, so we can look at the service info and figure out which side is cylinder which side is bank 2. We're gonna do our test there. I would like to check. I want to remove one cylinder. Not one cylinder. I don't know what I'm saying. I want to remove one spark plug and get my in-cylinder pressure transducer 1 cylinder.
Yes.
We're gonna start it. If we have a clogged catalytic converter, our exhaust hump is gonna be really high. Okay, and then the other thing I might check is fuel pressure. But if we have a fuel delivery problem, it's gonna affect both banks, not just one bank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stick with your gut, what you say you do, and do that one.
Check I believe we have a restricted catalytic converter. Okay, so we're gonna drive in front of the shop and then we'll bring you guys back up. All right, guys, so we brought the vehicle in the shop. We checked the wiring of the O2 sensor on this bank over here, the first O2 sensor, so that's good. We don't have a wiring issue there. Now, I'm going to bring up our service info. we couldn't get access to our service info because the Wi-Fi over there was not strong enough. So we are in our Mutual Pro Demand service info. I'm going to find our firing order. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so this is a V6. This is the 3.5. That's not it. This is a 3 liter. Okay, all other. Okay, so it's this one. So this is the front of the engine. So the front of the engine is this way.
Right.
So the bank next to the firewall is going to be bank 1. So this is going to be bank 2. And remember, the cylinders that were misfiring were 2, 4, and 6.
Even numbers.
And they're all on the same bank.
Yep.
And the bank that had high positive numbers when we ran the engine long enough was bank 2 also.
Yep.
So we got lucky this time. It's actually the bank next to the radiator. So the front bank over here. So here's what I'm gonna do. We could have I'm suspecting a clogged catalytic converter, knowing that this is an aftermarket catalytic converter and the O2 sensors are aftermarket. We can, because I would like to check for a restriction in the cat. We can go a couple ways about this.
Sure.
We can remove the first O2 sensor before the cat, and then we can put a pressure gauge there and start the engine to see if we have high pressure between the head, cylinder head, and the catalytic converter.
Right.
Or we can remove the spark plug and tap into the spark plug hole and put a pressure transducer there to look in the cylinder to see if we're going to have a high bump on the exhaust stroke.
Right.
Okay, so let's do it in cylinders. In cylinder is better, and we also don't use it as much, so this is an opportunity to use it. So Robin, if you can go ahead, it doesn't matter what cylinder. I believe, actually we had cylinder 2 that was misfiring a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so let's undo this one. So this is cylinder 2. So Robin is gonna remove the ignition coil, and he's also gonna remove the spark plug. Let's see what we're gonna find.
I'm doing it. It's out. So use the magnet, and you're gonna take it out, pull it back out with the magnet.
Perfect. Nice. So the spark plug is out.
It's all those.
Look how dark it looks. It looks like there's a lot of soot built up on it. And this is not good. This can be caused by, by a restricted catalytic converter. Because what would happen is if you have a restricted cat, the exhaust gases won't be able to exit the cylinders. It's going to push back up, and it's going to come and it's going to go and it's going to come back to the cylinders and build up around the spark plugs and the valves.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna screw in this line. I love this. I love what we're about to use.
Yeah, I like it too.
Actually, it's Matt's favorite scope. So we're gonna connect our pressure transducer here. Bernie Thompson stuff.
Yeah,
So we're gonna connect this here. Nice. All right, so now, Robin, if you can hand me that tablet there. We have our pressure transducer installed in the cylinder, and then we have our scope grounded at the battery, okay? Bernie Thompson says, always get your ground at the battery. I always try to do that. I know it's hard sometimes, but always do that. So now we're gonna open up our scope Elite. I love this thing. You love this scope, Robin?
Absolutely. Can't wait the time to start using it.
Yeah, this is good. All right, so we are connected. We're using the first channel. So we're gonna tell the scope what we are using. Come on. We're using our 500 PSI pressure transducer. We're gonna go to meter. Right there, we're making connection there.
Okay.
So we're good. Let's go to deep record. I'm gonna turn off all these channels here.
I just want.
Yeah. Let's go to deep record. All right, so Robin is going to go in the vehicle and start the engine for us.
Okay.
So go ahead and start it. If we have a restricted exhaust system, our exhaust hump is going to be really high. Rev it up a little bit. Rev it. All right, that's good. Perfect. You can turn it off. No, you can leave the key off. All right, so we got our capture here. So now I'm gonna get my zoom window. We're gonna zoom in here first. Yeah, look at this. This exhaust is restricted. You see how high this is? Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is high.
This is constantly.
Yeah, you see how high over this one here is? And I believe we can get cursors and figure out the pressure, if I can remember how to do that.
So cursors are what?
So cursors are like, think of them like rulers that you use to mark stuff, or to help like calculate stuff across the screen.
Okay.
Okay, and then let's mark this. Okay, I mean everything falls in place. We don't have a timing issue, but there's a way to look at pressure, how we can measure pressure on this exhaust stroke. I need to do more learning about this scope. There's a way to do that, but I just forgot. I can't think of it right now. Yeah, I mean, what I see over here, this tells me that there's high pressure coming back. Okay, in the cylinders. But I wish I had a manual gauge just to double check, you know, to connect to the
spark plug, the O2 sensor.
The O2 sensor, yeah. I think I do have a gauge for that. Let me see. Let me turn this off. Let's take another capture. Can you go ahead and start it again?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Let's take another capture one more time. Rev it. All right. That's good. Turn it off. Oh, what the heck? Start it again. I pressed the button twice. Rev it. Rev it. Rev it. All right, that's good. So, okay, this is on me, okay? I need to learn my scope a little bit more. Based on what I see on the scan tool, I mean, on the lab scope, I can tell that we have our exhaust hump on the press transducer waveform is a little higher, which is indicating a restriction in the exhaust system. But I would like to use a manual gauge just to double check. Yeah, I mean, I know that's what it is, but you know, double check and triple check. You know, just to double check ourselves. Because right now, what else could it be? Because if it's not a restricted exhaust, you know, it might be injectors that are not spraying enough fuel in the cylinders.
Right.
Because bank 1 is fine, but the issue is on bank 2.
But what if it was the injectors? Would it not be more cylinder affected, or particular one injector would be just bad?
Well, you could have a scenario where you have 3 injectors that are bad on one bank, so it's going to affect all those cylinders. It's possible.
It's possible.
You know, maybe not, but it's possible. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay, so right now I'm leaning towards a restricted cat.
Right.
Let me see if I have a pressure manual gauge that we can attach where the O2 sensor is, just to double check, and then we should be done. Because based on what I see, here's what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend replacing all the cat, because they're aftermarket. the cats have to be changed, the O2 sensors have to be changed.
Right.
The wiring of the sensor is good, but we're still having O2 sensor codes.
Right.
Now, we didn't check the wiring of the O2 sensors on bank 1.
Right.
We might have to check that. So the way we checked the wiring on bank 2 will be the same process as checking the one on bank 1. So I don't think I'm going to show you that. We can do that off camera.
Right, right.
If the wiring of all the sensors is good, then I'm gonna recommend installing OEM cats on this.
Absolutely.
And then OEM O2 sensors, and then we're gonna test drive the vehicle and see how it drives.
Yes.
We could still have a fuel pressure problem, but I don't think that's the case.
Do that affect both banks?
Yeah, it's gonna affect both banks. So let me see if I have a pressure gauge that we can connect to the O2 sensor hole, and after that we're gonna wrap up this video.
Okay.
I'm gonna call my friend and tell him what we found. So I'm gonna get the lab scope out of the way. We're done using the lab scope. Yeah, this catalytic converter is restricted. So I will see if I can find a gauge, and then I'll bring you guys back up. All right, guys, I got the lab scope out of the way. Now we're gonna use a pressure gauge. We removed the O2 sensor. Matt, if you can show everyone the O2 sensor that came out of this bank over here. This is the first O2 sensor, the sensor before the cat. Look how much soot we have on this O2 sensor. Okay, this is not good, and it looks like this O2 sensor was changed not too long ago. But look, Matt, I hope you can see this. See how much soot we have there? So this is an indication of a restricted catalytic converter. So we are on the right track. Now, Robin gave me a great idea as I was getting the pressure gauge ready, which we're gonna use in a little bit. He said, Dio, why don't we use our bore scope and get it in the O2 sensor hole so we can look at the substrate, you know, in front of the catalytic converter to see if the cat is covered with soot. So that is what we're gonna do. We're gonna use this bore scope. Okay, perfect. So we're recording. So now I'm going to, let me make sure the light is on. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in the cat. Yeah, we do have a lot of soot. You see on the sides? Now this, oh, look over here. Look at this soot. Now, on the, okay, so the substrate itself is not, the substrate of the cat is not covered, but a lot of soot. Look over here. But I can see we have a lot of soot on the walls over here. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah, look at that.
Go back right there. It's the corner right.
Right here?
Right here. Right here. No, like
Yeah, look at that.
burn something. Like burn up that.
Yeah. And yeah, these cats have to go. First of all, they're aftermarket. So I believe what happened, they installed aftermarket cats on this. And then eventually because what happens on these ones is the substrate here would melt.
Okay.
And then they would restrict the exhaust system. So, I mean, I can kind of see the hole over here, but I don't know if, let me see if I can get this all the way down here. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, look at these little pieces.
What is those?
Look at these pieces over here. I think this is just carbon. Carbon built up on the substrate. Okay, all right. So that's enough. We are done with this. So now let's grab our pressure gauge. We're gonna attach this to the O2 sensor hole. Can you see this, Matt? Okay, so I'm gonna tighten this adapter here. We got this line connected to the O2 sensor hole. Now I'm gonna connect this gauge over here, because I hope the restriction is not too hard, because if the restriction is a lot, it might blow this up. Okay. All right, so right now we're connected to the exhaust system. So Robin is gonna go in the vehicle. He's gonna start the engine for us. A good number is 0.5 psi. The maximum pressure we should have on the exhaust system is 1 psi. If we go over 1 psi, that would mean the exhaust is restricted. So let me wear some glasses and then we're gonna get the engine started. Safety first. All right, Robin, go ahead and start it. Oh, look at that. So rev it. All right. Can you do a snap? Snap. Oh, there. Snap it. Snap it again. Snap it. All right. I hope you guys can see. Our gauge is going all the way up to 3 psi. Snap it again. Snap it. Snap it. Snap it. All right. We're done. Turn it off. Restricted cat. That's what my friend George said. My friend George said that the engine is running very badly. He couldn't even drive it. Someone replaced O2 sensors in this, but the engine is still running bad. So a restricted cat will cause the cylinders to misfire because the exhaust gases are not going out. So they're being blocked between the cat and the cylinders. So that would cause the engine to not breathe in fresh air. So you have kind of that exhaust air is kind of just like circulating. It's not going out. So it's going to cause the engine to misfire. So when you were revving up the engine, Robin, we had about 3 psi on the gauge. When you snapped it,
Wow.
the gauge went up to 3 psi.
How much it should be?
1 psi max. Yeah. Ideally, if you are under 1 psi is good.
Right.
You know, anything above 1 psi, that's a rule of thumb. Anything above 1 psi indicates a restricted exhaust.
Okay.
So this is restricted.
Yes.
So here's what I'm going to recommend that my friend George do. I mean, I don't think he's going to have us do it. I'm sure he just wanted me. I'm not going to say he just. I tend to say that a lot. He just wanted me to. No, it's not just wanted. He wanted me to figure out what's wrong. Because when you say he just, it's like what we're doing is not as important.
It's very important.
It's very important, you know. He wanted us to figure out what's wrong.
Yep.
And now that we know what's wrong, we're going to tell him.
Yep.
I'm sure he's going to come pick up the vehicle and fix it himself.
Well, what I see is when I was running the car in there, the battery light was on. When snapping, about 2 times, the battery light went up by itself.
Oh, really?
So we have he has also a charging issue.
Yeah, he could have a charging issue. Yeah, that's a good point. I will let him know.
Yep.
I mean, he has a shop. He runs a shop, so you know, they just don't have a guy who does diagnosis there. So
Okay.
yeah, they might be able to fix it themselves. I'm gonna tell them what we found. So here's what I'm gonna recommend. Both cats
Yes.
are gonna be replaced with OEM ones, and then I'm also gonna recommend replacing all the O2 sensors. The fact that we have a lot of soot on this O2 sensor, this is a big problem right here. I'm sure he's gonna watch this video. So we're gonna replace all the O2 sensors, and then I'll tell him to then watch the fuel trim numbers.
Right.
Because the thing is, the problem is not just replacing the cat, but we also have to figure out the cause. Because right now we know the concern, okay, the vehicle is losing power, the cat is clogged,
Right.
but what caused the cats to clog? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Is it just because they're aftermarket and they're going bad, or is there an underlying problem that's causing the cats to go bad?
And how long ago since they changed the cat?
Yes. You know what I mean? Because we could have, this engine could still the engine could potentially be running lean, and that can cause the cats to get clogged. You know, we could have injectors are spraying too much, because right now we can't really run the engine long enough.
No.
You know, we can't really do all the tests. So after the cats are replaced and the O2 sensors are replaced, then they have to let the engine run and then watch the fuel trim numbers. If the trim numbers are within plus or minus 10% on both banks, then that's good. If we still have high negative numbers or high positive numbers, then we have to do more tests to figure out why the catalytic converters went bad.
So if we don't do the work, we'll do that procedure. But
Yeah.
if they do it, I recommend for them to bring it
Back, so we can.
With a diagnostic again on it.
That is good. Yeah. So I'm gonna tell my friend George, if he's gonna do the work, after they replace the CADs and the O2 sensors, he should bring it back to us so we can check it again to make sure the engine is running well, everything else around the engine is running well before he gives it back to the customer.
Because you don't want it to deliver it in next 6 months.
It comes back.
Hey, sir, we got a problem here.
Yeah, because if the cause is not fixed, it's just a matter of time. The same thing is going to come back.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, yes. So, and the O2 sensor codes they had, the heater codes they had, it's not a wiring problem. It's just the heater in the sensor is open. And yeah, these are aftermarket sensors. So we're going to leave this right over here. I hope you liked the video. Robin, any closing remarks?
Double check.
Double check, yeah.
check.
Double check, triple check, okay. Thanks for being here. Thank you for staying around. We're gonna leave this right over here. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Cameraman Matt, thanks for sticking around. I mean, it's late here. We had to stay a little bit late so we could get to the bottom of this. So thanks for being here. Guys, we love you. Keep supporting us. Thanks again. See you next time.